right, so welcome back, where today we're going to be talking about audio. This is what the audio naturally sounds like just coming through this microphone. This is a $20 microphone. As you can see, I'm holding it directly in front of my face, but you can also hear a lot. And that's what we want to get rid of. So let's say, for instance, you're in a busy household where there's a lot of noise going on around you. You don't want that noise. That's one of the things that we're going to focus on today. Now, the first thing when it comes to picking up a microphone is going to be, which kind of microphone do you get? Do you get a condenser microphone or a dynamic microphone? The answer to that is kind of hard to tell you. It depends on your environment and how comfortable you are going to be with having the microphone directly in front of your face. The more comfortable you are with having the microphone in front of your face, I would say get a condenser microphone, just because it is going to have those nice sounding notes, and they're not that expensive. To start off with a good microphone in streaming is not that expensive. My first microphone, which I'll show you in this clip here. Is that him singing? You have a beautiful voice, sir. Wait. Oh. I got this for $25. So if you're thinking that microphones are expensive, they can be. My current mic is almost $200, but there's a reason for that. This microphone here came free with a video game on the Wii. So yeah, but also, are you noticing what you hear? Lots of noises that you don't want to hear, including that. We don't want to hear that. So how do we get rid of that? We'll go into our OBS. So first thing you'll do in OBS, of course, you want to make sure that your microphone is actually the microphone you're looking for. In my case, it is this Logitech USB microphone. And then you'll go into the three dots and go to filters. So under filters, we want to add a few things actually. A compressor. That's going to make it to where everything kind of comes to the same volume. Nothing's going to be too loud, too loud, too loud. Hear the difference? Sorry, this if you're an audio person like me, this video is going to get on your nerves, just letting you know now. So that's what the compressor does. Next thing I want to add is a noise gate. Now, noise gates are basically going to get rid of all that outside sound. So you can kind of hear that I'm snapping, but if I turn it off, the snap fully comes through. So turn on your noise gate. It barely comes through. You can even change the different thresholds in there. Personally, starting off, I wouldn't, but it is something that you can do. There's a lot of different things in here. Noise suppression is going to use a lot of your CPU, so it's not something that I usually recommend. So we'll turn that off. And then limiter. A lot of people will use limiter. Basically, it kind of works with the compressor to make sure that if you scream, that it's not going to over jump where you keep your microphone levels. Now, we're still gonna I'm moving my head so you can know what I'm sniffing. So you don't hear the full sniffs, but you hear some of it, and that's gonna happen. But hear how different that is? It's natural sounding now. I'm not all in your face breathing now. So again, those are the three that I recommend: compressor, noise gate, and limiter. I'm not gonna go too far in depth on them, just because this is gonna be a basic video of how to do audio. I will say there's also different videos you can watch as far as that other option that we saw here. So VST plugins. I use personally on my other microphone some VST plugins for compressor, for noise gate, but they use a little bit more of your CPU processor, but they just kind of work differently. So take with that as you will. You can look those up if you're wanting to go a little more in depth into filters. But again, this is what it sounds like with all of the filters on. And I'll do, I'm trying to think of a sentence I could do. I'll do like, what a day. That's with it on. What a day is with it off. So now that we've got all of our filters set, our next thing that I kind of want to go over with you guys, well, firstly, there's one thing I'm noticing. This is actually taking me to my next point. So if you look at the levels, so you can see that stuff is going green and yellow. You want to avoid red if at all possible. So we can see with our mic right now, it has a little red ting, which means within the last few seconds, it bounced into the red. So we'll turn this down just a little bit to see if we can hopefully get it to stay outside of that red. You want to be, with normal talking, at the top of green or the low of yellow. That's normal talking. So that way, if you do a little whisper, it should still be able to get it. But then also, because we have the compressor and the limiter on, it's going to try to balance everything into that level, which makes it pretty good. It makes it pretty good in that way. But the thing that I'm noticing is that our desktop audio and our mic are both moving at the same time. So let me ignore what I'm doing here, because this isn't something that you would normally do, but this is what Stream is hearing. And it actually may not sound that different. Basically, what I'm trying to replicate for you here is that Stream would currently hear the microphone twice. Now, that could be good, that could be bad. If your limiters aren't on, then it's not necessarily going to be the greatest. But basically, it's hearing it twice. Which is why this is actually the next thing I want to talk about, is your desktop audio. So, it depends on what kind of content you're going to be streaming. If you are streaming games off of the same computer that you're streaming from, there's gonna be a little bit of complications. So, let's say for instance, on this computer I have Fall Guys, which I do. If I was going to stream Fall Guys, I would want to make sure that I am not hearing the desktop audio. So we can go into advanced audio properties, and we want to make sure that the monitor is off. No monitor only, no monitor and output, monitor off for desktop. That is going to do is now the stream will hear everything that's coming through the desktop, but I won't hear it twice. Meaning if I open Fall Guys, I'm going to hear the game because the game is giving me its audio, but the stream won't hear the game audio reflecting through my speaker back into the computer and then hear it again. Another tip, a lot of people aren't going to like me for this one. I do recommend headphones. Without headphones, which again, it can be something like this. I'm just using earbuds. You can use AirPods. I wouldn't necessarily recommend like AirPods or different wireless things unless they're specifically made for gaming, but you can use them. It is just something that I have to recommend that you use some type of headphone. Reason being is right now there would be an echo on my microphone just because of the way I'm testing it, but different alerts and things. So if you have, again, Fall Guys, we'll go back to that, or whatever game you're playing, if you're playing it on the same computer, if it's coming through your computer speaker to where this microphone can hear it, then it's going to go into the microphone, and then your viewer is now going to hear not only Fall Guys playing through the computer, but they're also going to hear the game again. So let me see if I can give y'all, actually I really wouldn't be able to give y'all a good example of that because of the way I have everything set up. This is a very weird setup. I don't know if I've mentioned that. This is probably my weirdest setup that I'm gonna have for this entire channel. But I have to recommend headphones. I'm sorry. If you are not going to use headphones, the alternative is making sure that whatever sound your things are coming from is at a lower volume. For example, when I'm over on my green screen, I don't have headphones because I can't wear headphones at that moment. However, the TV at that point is only loud enough to where I can barely hear the game. If I make it any louder, the microphone would pick it up. You would have the echo. You would have the weird sounding or the weird quality sound because you would have that double layer of sound playing. Basically, this is the audio that your viewer would hear because my voice is technically replicating the speaker right now. My actual microphone is replicating what the computer hears. So if I open up Fall Guys, the actual microphone is what the computer hears. So that's not this one, it's this one here. And then because the speaker is so loud that my actual microphone can hear it, you're getting this double audio, you're getting this echo. It gets weird. And you can also hear there's differences in the quality of the two. It's not just an echo, one of them sounds very different. So please use headphones if you can. So I'll be the first to admit that this is not the prettiest layout, obviously, but this is what we're looking for. So when you're in your layout, of course, things are going to happen with the overlay. How do we hear the overlay? Because right now, if something were to happen, we wouldn't hear it. If we go into the overlay itself, which I've labeled as game back right now, go into the properties of it, and you're looking for this check mark here, control audio via OBS. Give it a check mark and hit OK. Now we can see that it's right here. It has its own audio track. If you are not going to use any type of audio software, so like Voicemeeter or the Elgato Wavelink, different things that are going to route your audio. Again, remember, desktop audio is going to give us a loop. We don't want this loop. So what we can do, come into the advanced audio properties, and for game back, we'll turn it to monitor only. Now, why monitor only? Because it's coming through our desktop. So it's gonna hear the monitor and push it back out into stream. Otherwise, you're still gonna have an echo. There's a lot of different audio interfaces you can use. And then also even in OBS, there is a beta of an audio capture. You take a look here. It is an application audio capture. It's in beta, so if it doesn't work, you can't blame it. But basically what it will do is any of your windows, you can have it to where it will only pick up the audio from that window. So let's say you are listening to music, but you don't want the stream to hear that music because of copyright. You can have it to where if you're listening to music in one spot, but you're playing Fall Guys in another spot, you can turn this audio capture to Fall Guys as the window. And then you would go over here. Once you have that, you would mute your desktop audio. If you do that, everything we did with game back here is also going to change. You would turn that to monitor and output, because at this point it's not going to hear the regular desktop audio because we've just muted it here. It's only going to hear Fall Guys. And then you would have your Fall Guys audio. So this is replicating Fall Guys. The desktop audio is Fall Guys and everything else. And then you could open your Apple Music, your Spotify, whatever, in a separate window. You would hear it, but the stream would not. And the same for that audio capture beta goes for any of those softwares. So if you do have those, it comes to a little bit of navigating what you want Stream to hear and what you don't want Stream to hear. It comes in handy for me because I have a scatterbrain to where I watch streams while I'm streaming, but I don't want my stream to have to hear two people talking at the same time. All right, so I took a little break using our good mic now. Few things that I wanted to cover that I completely forgot I wanted to cover. So now I'm gonna go over those with you now. Firstly, when it comes to your game volume, if you're using a capture card, so let me see if I can replicate it here. Yeah, we'll do our best here. So I gotta say, this angle gets funnier and funnier each time. But if you're using a capture card, let's say that this audio capture is your capture card. So you're using a capture card if you're playing from a console, PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, any of that, you're going to be using a capture card. For the game audio for that, I recommend anywhere between 1/3 of the volume meter here to 1/2. So usually I would go down to about right here and kind of test it out. Do a little recording, like just a little recording of normal gameplay with you talking to see if you can hear both at a good level. If you're doing something locally on the PC, the same PC that you're streaming off of instead of a capture card, see if the game itself has audio settings and turn it to, I would say, about 40%. And again, do a test recording to see if you can hear and make sure everything sounds appropriate. Additionally, when it comes to the type of mic that you're using, again, it does not matter. I'm using an expensive mic because I wanted different software. That software is actually something I want to talk a little bit about. So what I use is the Elgato Wave 3. It's $150. And with it, I get what is called the Wavelink software. That software basically separates my different things into different channels so that I can have things that only I can hear, that Stream can only hear, and then I can change the volume of each separate thing. But again, that's kind of negated by having the application audio capture. You're going to go into your Windows settings and it will have different audio channels that you can put different things to. So you can have one for your music, one for your game, one for your voice chat, etc., etc. And so you can make it lower for your volume or higher for your volume, or muted for you or muted for the stream, all separate of each other different volume control. And so it's really cool to have that available to you. All right, this is technically a part 3, but it's not. Last thing before I go, music. If it is the game itself and it is in-game music, you are usually going to be fine. Some games will have streamer modes or DMCA modes that will disable if there's any copywritten music in it that you wouldn't be able to play on your stream. For music that you want to play on stream, you can do a separate VOD track. It's still risky, so I don't necessarily recommend that. However, there's lots of royalty-free music available that you can use for your stream. The two that I use personally are available on Spotify and Apple Music and through downloads is Game Chops. They do different video game remixes with different artists mixed in with it. And then also stream beats. This is from, you may have seen the big streamer guy. He has an entire library of just about every genre of music you could think of, and it is all also royalty free. So definitely look into that. It's gonna keep you from getting those strikes on your Twitch stream, on your YouTube, on your Facebook, wherever you're streaming to. Try to do royalty free. If you really want to listen to your music though, just be aware that you will get strikes potentially. It could lead to lots of different things. YouTube, I think, just gives you like 3 strikes in your band. I think it's the same with Twitch. So just be careful if you're going to use actual copywritten music. If you don't want to take that risk, royalty-free music is the option. Thanks for watching this stream class. Next time, we're going to go over how to get to Twitch affiliate, Twitch partner, and YouTube partner, and my tips and tricks on how to get there.